I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a brief scripture from Psalms 127, verse 1 that I thought would be appropriate. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchmen wake but in vain. Let's pray. Father, gracious, loving, and almighty God, we acknowledge that we need you in our lives. Without your wisdom and truth, we are not able to make the correct choices that are before us each day. Thank you for the Bible that speaks of your truth and the guidance of the Holy Spirit that leads us to that truth. For all who serve this community in whatever capacity, we seek your guidance, courage, strength, and protection for each of them, especially for the members of this council, and particularly for this particular meeting tonight, we pray. May all that they discuss and all that they vote on be in accordance with your will, Heavenly Father. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Ray. Lisa, let's go ahead and roll call.
James Eitzen.
Present.
Gwen Dusa.
Here.
Bill Gritzmaker.
Here.
Mike Gunner.
Here.
Jerry Hayes.
Here.
Eric Rogers.
Here.
Tim Waters.
Present. Would someone like to make a motion to approve last meeting's minutes for August 12th, 2022?
I move to approve the minutes of our August 12th, 2024 meeting as presented.
Support. Thank you. Any changes? No. Lisa.
Gwen.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
James.
Yes. I do need a motion to open the public hearing on the proposed fee schedule.
I'll make a motion to discuss the proposed fee schedule for 2025.
I support that. Anything to add before I call roll? No, go ahead, Lisa.
Bill.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Gwen.
Yes.
James.
Yes. Public hearing is now open. Are there any public comments on the proposed fee schedule? No. Council, any comments on the fee or questions on the fee schedule?
I'm just under the assumption that everyone had the opportunity to see the email that I had sent to Danielle directing my questions and her responses to those questions regarding the fee schedule.
Yes, I can see
that. Do we need to say any of that, Danielle, in the public? I know it was emailed to us. Do we need to say that so that the public can hear that as well?
I will talk about that under the new business portion, and kind of go through all of that. That's okay with you guys.
that's fine with me. Any other comments? Public or council? So I need an agenda to close the public, or I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing on the fee schedule for 2025.
Support. Lisa, if you will.
Mike.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Gwen.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
James.
Yes. Thank you. I think a motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented if no one has any proposed amendments.
Motion to approve the agenda is presented.
Second. Any proposed amendments? Go ahead, Lisa.
Tim.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Gwen.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
James.
Yes. Thank you.
I'll open it up for public comment, items on the agenda, items not on the agenda. I'll just ask that you state your name for the record. If you want to approach the mic, go ahead. Connie, you are listed if you'd like to come up to start.
First of all, we were going through the stuff left over in the time capsule, and this is addressed to the mayor of Blissfield in the year 2024. If you already know, let us know what it says, because I didn't steam it open. I promise.
What's the matter?
No,
Right.
no money, no money.
Nobody.
So,
I just have an opinion. About the engineers that you've had that came and looked at the building over at the seat company and then also the depot. And they said that, you know, the second portion of the addition was pulling away from the main structure. And John and I were really personally involved in all of that work. And Al Smith did the foundation. And of course, when they dug it up, it was just all full of concrete and junk and steel and metal and all kinds of terrible stuff. So it really wasn't even initially very good space for putting in a new foundation. And so I don't know if you've had the memorandum from July 3rd, 2024, and they talked about what was happening, the crack that had appeared between the foundation and the building itself, and it pulled away a little bit. And they said, well, let's get some more people to look at it and let's see what we have to do to address it. And then there was the thing about, oh, let's move the depot. Maybe that's not a good spot for it. Okay, with that all said, did you guys all read that? Did you read that report? Right. And Danielle was kind enough to give me a copy. So I sent to Danielle, and I'm just going to read it because then I don't forget anything. Thank you for sending the report. I'm not sure I agree with everything being said. My husband and I were there for work on the depot back in 91 through 93. Honestly, I do not see any change in the riverbank from erosion. It is in the same place it was when we did the depot 31 years ago. I believe that all the folks at the DPW were not even working there at that time in 91. I don't think any of them were working there at the time. They've all retired, so they don't know. And I actually even asked Bill Searing, he worked on the depot with us, and John looked at it, and we agree that there really isn't any erosion there. Regarding the separation of the back wing to the main building, I feel it is a result of poor landfill, concrete, and all the junk that was located on the site, the old town dump, possibly making the soil not the most stable for a foundation of any kind. It has only moved an inch to an inch and a half in 31 years. My proposal would be to measure the cracks in different locations and wait a few more years to see if it gets any worse. Because at this point, I don't think it's going anywhere. I think that all happened probably in the first few years. Nobody ever noticed it. And what the DPW guys did do, they dug up on either side where the wing attached to the main structure, and they filled it with tar. And then they also, and he said maybe 1 3/4 inches, but they didn't even think 1.5 inches. They thought it was less than that. And then they put a soil barrier, so you know none of the dirt could go in. And I happened to talk to Al Smith. I ran into him at the DPW one day. I said, what do you think we should do about it? He said, it's not going to move anymore. He said, you could always fill it with concrete, you know, or fill it with tar and do rubber paper barrier. And he said, you don't need to have big heavy pilings. You don't need to spend more money on engineering. Let's just fix it. And so my idea is, let's just measure it and see what it does in the next 2 years. And if it gets worse, okay, let's call in the experts then. But if it doesn't, I don't think it's going anywhere. That's my opinion. So, you know, and I think it's an educated opinion as well. And I did talk to Al, and I did talk to the DPW guys to make sure what they were doing. Because at one time, the water was coming in at that corner, the eaves troughs were full, and the water had eroded away. So there was like a little basin where the water sat and could come in where it had pulled away a little bit. But I think the least expensive thing would be to measure it, see what it does in the next 2 or 3 years. If it doesn't do any more, then maybe do a little more permanent fix on either side of it. And I don't, has to be lingering, you spend a lot of money on it. That's just my opinion, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Connie.
Thanks, Connie.
You bet.
Dana, can we get a copy of her letter? Are we able to kind of put that in the file as well?
Yes, I thought I emailed it to you guys already. I will, yes, I
I
will.
don't recall seeing her letter. I remember for.
I have it right here, if you wanna just take it and make a copy of it.
That
In
works.
case your emails, I mean, you know, sometimes you clean up. This is the. Sure, sometimes we need to get rid of emails. Does anybody have any questions? They should ask that.
You know, I think we're just in the very early preliminary stages of investigating what's going on over there. I know there's some other issues like the roof needs work. So I think at this point, the engineering report is a good base to go off of and see what we need to do and start earmarking funds to either, like you said, make those repairs that you suggested, or potentially make a larger investment. I love having the depot there at that site. It's really cool having it near the train tracks. So I'd love to see it stay there, but you know, we'll have to keep an eye on it going forward. But right now it's just early, very early.
Well, and I wanted to respond to the riverbank erosion. It truly hasn't moved at all.
No, I don't think it's erosion. I think it's water penetrating and the water table.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, that's
There's, when the river levels come up, that water comes into the ground in that area. And then when the water goes back down, it's pulling that back out. I don't think they were specifically referring to erosion, but that constant back and forth of the groundwater. I believe we have to.
That's what they think. Okay, I don't know if I agree with that, but that's fine.
Thank you again.
Mm-hmm.
Any other public comment? Come on up, state your name, director.
Chuck Emerson, I live at 367 South Monroe Street. I want to discuss our police force, which I have discussed with Danielle before. I don't feel that we're getting the needed protection that needs to be done. I don't know how many of you travel to 23, how many times a day, once, twice, don't know. I probably travel it 6 times at least, sometimes more. The speeding, guts, because somebody's gonna get killed, and it's gonna be from people running red lights. Our kids and our grandkids crossing those crosswalks. Come on, we gotta be able to stop. Gotta be able to stop it. It's getting too dangerous out here. I can tell you many times don't see police officer. Chief, I'm not making any digs at anybody. Just want you to know that. But I know that things aren't what they should be. Danielle told me we had 5 full-time officers and 2 part-time. Is that what you told me the last time we talked?
We do not have, yes, when we talked before, we no longer have the 2 part-time officers.
Okay, that's 5 full-time. And the resource officer has gone back to the school.
Correct.
So I know that he's out of the equation. Am I right? I mean, he doesn't work on the weekends.
Correct. He works during the school year just at the school.
Right. But in the summertime, is he work in the summertime during the summer months?
Yes, or the village, yes.
Okay. So that's 168 hours in a week. You divide that up by the 5, comes out to roughly 34 hours a week per officer. I mean, can anybody explain why they're not working 40? Is there a reason behind it? I mean, is it because of the money. I don't know.
I believe all of our officers are eclipsing 40 hours at this point.
They're all working in excess of 40 hours.
Okay. You know, I don't. The safety is really getting to be bad. I'm sorry. When your dad, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back 50 years. When your dad and Roy were here, we didn't have that problem. Granted, there probably is a lot more traffic, don't doubt it. But let's face it, people. Things aren't getting done.
Is when you're saying the part about the needed protection, are you specifically stating the speeding protection? Is that what you're referring to, Chuck?
That and the safety of at our red lights. Every day you can sit there every 15 minutes and I'll guarantee you somebody's blowing through a red light. I've sat up in Rose Street and watching as far back as Brian Anderson's, and that light's red. Make any difference. They just blow. Kids aren't gonna watch that all the time. When they see that thing that says go, they're gonna go. We gotta be able to sit here, sit down there. We've gotta take time, because that's what the police are for, is to protect people in this town. And I hate to be I'm not the only one. I've had people tell me the same thing day in and day out. But we gotta figure something. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've sat here and seen police cars sit here for anywhere from 4 to 6 hours in a day. Not moving. Granted, Danielle's talked about it. They have paperwork. But look, 4 to 6 hours in a day and nobody's patrolling. Semis are never stopped. Never see a semi stopped. They're racing two abreast down through here.
I was just gonna say, are you aware, Danielle / Chief, regarding the signage that we're looking at for our new budget for 2025, as well as the cadet that we have on board? Are you aware of those things going on, Chuck? Maybe someone could explain that.
Yes, I know.
What?
But I don't know this. If you want to come talk to me, I'd be more than happy to do that. I don't know. Do we want to get into a lot of the?
No, but just stating that we do have a cadet.
If I may, I would appreciate if Chuck came talk to me.
I'll be more than happy.
I'd be happy.
I'll be more than happy.
Talk to any depth about what's going on.
I will more definitely be glad, because you know, I don't want to be a tragedy over something, but I just feel that we aren't getting what we need. And you know, the speeders, we can stop. I talked to Danielle, I said the main times that they're flying through here, it's 6 to 9 in the morning, 4 to 7 in the afternoon. And if an officer's stepping down here at the railroad, as soon as they get past the light, hell, they're gone, and they're going 50 by the time they get past the gas station. Same way the other way. They get past Monroe Street. And is there a reason why the Jake break signs got taken down?
Yes.
Why?
There's a court ruling.
Why do other places have it?
You can still have them, but they're not enforced.
They take break all the time in front of our car dealership too, and there's take break signs up along 223.
I just don't get it. But neither here nor there.
I don't think
Is there, I'm gonna bring up one more thing. And that is there a reason that we can't make the trucks use the right hand? Instead of, yeah.
223 is regulated in the Department of Transportation. The village has no authority to regulate anything.
So,
other
okay.
than enforcing the traffic laws.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
we can't change anything.
We can't change, why do they have right trucks use the right lane on the expressway? So this really and truly isn't a
That's a question for MDOT.
but that there again. It's part of enforcing it because they don't slow down. Twice last week I had it happen. So. I mean, they're flying by. The double bottoms, they don't, nobody gives two craps about anything. But I'm telling you, if somebody's kid or grandchild gets hit, it's gonna be a lot of people here. And I just want to make sure my grandkids are past that. But I want you all, because I know that you all don't work in town or are retired, whatever. And you don't see it. Me being retired and going across town 6-8 times a day, I see it every day. And I just hate to see something happen to a kid, somebody's kid or grandchild. Or anybody for that matter.
Thanks, Chuck. We appreciate your comments. We'll
And you know,
please come in and talk with
Yeah.
Steve, and hopefully you can get some insight. Maybe you can on the south end. Yeah,
that's fine.
we've definitely talked about it.
I just wanted
We've talked about road diet and a number of different issues that come up over the past. So it's definitely a known issue. But thank you for bringing it back up.
I thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, Chuck. Still public comment. Wow. Just state your name for the record, sure.
Hello, my name is Brian Sherborg, and I have Colin Meyer with me here. We're with ZFS Riga, the company that recently bought the grain processing facility that's just outside of town. It's been shut down for quite a while. We just wanted to come over and meet everyone here, and we're just trying to get to know the community a little better. We're excited about being here. So I wanted to just say a few words and also kind of get to know the Blissfield region and the community here. So yeah, we purchased the facility just a few months ago, and today we are working on rehabilitating the ability to receive and store grain as a country grain elevator. And at the same time, we're evaluating everything else that's there on the processing side to see if we can put a plan together that we're confident in where it can be economically viable for the future. So that's where we're kind of at right now. And just want to share a few things about ZFS and our organization. ZFS Riga is affiliated with Zealand Farm Services, which is based out of Zealand, Michigan, Western Michigan, a few hours away from here. And it's family-owned business, 74 years old. And the biggest areas we're in today are corn and soybean processing and transportation. We have 2 facilities that process soybeans and 2 that process corn, somewhat like the plant here in Riga. And we also have some other divisions. We're in grain and feed merchandising, vegetable oil processing, and transportation, both truck and some rail, and also a little bit in convenience store and biofuels, trying to make sure that biofuels and renewables are available to the marketplace. So just looking forward to seeing what can happen here in the area of Blissfield Riga area, and just want to say hello and thank you for hosting the company here and hopefully a bright future.
Could you say your name again, please?
Sure, Brian Terborg.
How do you spell that, please?
Brianter.
I knew the Brian part.
Okay, well, there is Ryan.
Sorry.
2 or 3 ways. Last name is Terborg, Terborg.
Thank you.
Colin, maybe I don't know if you got anything else to add. I was trying to keep it short.
No, I think that was really useful. We're excited about being here.
And your name, sir?
My name is Colin, Colin. Meyer, Myer.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer.
Yeah.
And Mr. Turgot.
Are there any questions you all have?
No, I'd just like to say, Brian, we met about, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 months ago at this point. It was a pleasure to meet you. And welcome to the community and good luck. Hope it's a success. So Thank you for your investment. We look forward to doing this with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, sir? Good. Thank you.
Still a public comment.
Yeah, I got, one, my name's Dan Schwam, live down in Trailer Park here, and, just wanna comment on Chuck's there, yeah, I look out my window a lot. I don't have much else to do since I'm retired, and I watch. I've been in Blissfield for 47 years. It used to be back in the day, Blissfield was referred to as the speed trap. When you came through Blissfield, you slowed down. If you hit, you get the tickets, then you get speed. Why it's allowed now, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's got to do with some court saying you can't stop people for speeding anymore. I don't know what's going on there. But I got one other comment. I travel up and down the sidewalks because 223 is not a safe place for me to go with my 6.5 mile an hour electric car here. And a lot of the sidewalks in town are 4 feet wide. That's how they're made. Well, some of them are not even 2 feet wide because of the overgrowth. Is there any way we can maybe, was there no after 24 hours of a snowfall, you're supposed to have your sidewalk clear? Is there any way we can say, keep the sidewalk edged? If you get it edged to start with, they keep it edged once a week when you mow your lawn or whoever does it. Kyle Pringer's running his place is perfect. It's the way it ought to be. Because there's people that, I'm not the only one, that maybe are, can't walk very well and have a walker. If somebody going down that sidewalk with a walker, you're not going to be able to make it. You're going to fall, you're going to hurt yourself, and then there's going to be another lawsuit, and I know this town can't afford that. So I haven't come up with a plan yet, but I'm thinking about it. I've been thinking about it, and I thought, well, I better get down here and talk to the people, let them know what's going on. I talked to Tim a little bit. I want to come up with something like bring back Blissfield's beauty. The town's been 200 years. In the beginning, I'm sure there were gravel roads and there weren't sidewalks at the beginning, but if you're going to be a member of this town and you want to keep it up, hey. Yeah, I'm getting older, but back in the day that didn't bother me that much, but now I'm older, right? When I see somebody's yard that they've taken care of it, I think, wow, that is really nice. And along Blissfield, they used to run the sidewalk to the road. People used to plant flowers. Now we know that's a pretty rough area. And of course, I have to talk to the Michigan Department of Transportation about the erosion along the edge of the road. I almost got hit by a very large rock when I was coming down the sidewalk by Subway. The rock actually hit the building on Subway and put a large hole inside. So, but I'm sure that's not Blissfield's problem, so to say. But since it is a road that comes through town, because the edge of it it's getting in pretty bad shape in some spots. And double stone haulers, I don't know where they're coming from or where they're going, but boy, when they hit that bump right outside Becky's country kitchen there, man. And they started between 4 and 4:30 in the morning. So anyway, now shut up.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Sorry, just taking notes. Any other public comment?
Well, mine is. Okay, Mary Lou Canizel, 426 North Monroe. This has been an ongoing problem, almost about. I think, Eric, Jerry, and Danielle are the only people that haven't been to the house and seen what's going on in the river behind the house. The rest of you have either worked on it last year or you've been right over interested in what's going on when I told you about it. So that tells me that, some people up there care, some people don't care. Some people think they can do something, some people don't think that they're even able to help. We've come here and tried to talk to Danielle a number of times, and she's always busy. So that's why I'm here, because I want all of you to know that. The river logjam is not any better, it's lots worse. We were told to go to River Raise Watershed. Okay. We did, we talked to Mia. Mia was setting up a time on August 8th, where she was going to get a group of people, volunteers, to come and clean it up. Never happened. And I was in touch with her about that. And her explanation was that the river is too dangerous, the water's too deep. This is not deep water right now. If anybody looked at that river, I've never seen it that low. There's a door that's right directly behind our house. And you can see the whole door laying there. I've never seen that as I lived there. You can see the limbs that are laying on the bottom of the river. It's really shallow. So that's not a good reason not to be working on the river. I don't blame her because everything is volunteer with her. But we were told to go to the River Raven watershed to address this. We did exactly that when nothing happened on August 8th. We talked to everyone that was there on the council that day that was having their meetings. And Steve May said, we can't help you. You have to go back to your village and you ask them to write you a grant. So that's why I'm here. Next step.
Who was that gentleman you spoke with?
Steve May, he's the head of the River Raising Watershed. I don't know if you call him president or what his title is. He used to be the drain commissioner. I did talk to the drain commissioner, the new one that just got elected. He sent a fellow out and he took pictures, but I haven't heard back from them. Years ago, they put a pipeline on the other side of 420 North Monroe. That's where the whole grid is. And it was to drain all of Bernard Court water because they were getting flooding in their basement. Some of you might remember that. I personally think that might have had an effect on the erosion because that water is draining just the other side of Hoagland's, which is next door to us. And that could have something to do with this erosion of our riverbank. I'm not sure about that. I thought Connie was going to take care of that, but it ended up the village did that. That's been a number of years ago. I would say even 15 or 20 years ago. So right now we're going to stand still, try to get a hold of Danielle. I gave her the minutes of that River Raising Watershed Council meeting and wrote her out and said, I'll be back tonight to talk to you about it. And so that's where we're at right now. And we're not, you know, it's out of our control. Steve said, come to Danielle and let her write a grant. I don't know how to write grants.
Have you had that opportunity to talk with Dale Zorn or Kevin Martis?
Called Dale Zorn and he recommended Eagle. So we talked to Eagle and kind of went in a circle back again. And they talked about a grant too. Who was the other person?
Kevin Martis.
No, I haven't talked to Kevin about it.
Yeah. Maybe the next person.
Yeah. He might be able to help now. He's got an office.
Mary Lou, did they state who we would be applying for that grant through?
Well, Steve hasn't had very good luck with Eagle, to be honest with you. He said that right up front. And I'm not sure why, but there's a lot of other grants available. I know that it's hard to get them, but I'm at a standstill. I don't know what else to do.
I do, village administrator, apply for a grant.
I have looked, there are no grants to clear log jams. I've talked to Eagle, I've talked to the state who used to have a program. So I'm not sure what grant Steve thinks I can apply for.
Might be a good idea to get in touch with him.
I can reach out to him, but I have looked and there are no grants that will clear log jams.
You should see the money flowing at the meeting we went to. Petersburg is getting money, naturally Monroe is, we're getting nothing. Why don't we have someone in Blissfield go to that meeting?
Money for what?
Pardon?
Money for what?
Grants that they've got, I'm talking thousands of
For the
dollars.
Rivers and watershed council.
This is the watershed meeting.
But what are those grants, what are the funds going?
I've got all the minutes from your meeting.
You
so
have any
it
idea?
hasn't changed.
Jams mostly,
Dam removal?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Dam removal right now, there's a lot of money for that and across the state, but other than that, there's not a lot of money for, unfortunately, waterways. Even though Michigan has a lot, should be protected and whatnot. Dam removal is a hot
The whole thing.
What's that?
It's eroding the riverbank. What it's doing, these log dams, and somebody's got to take care of it. State, federal, Blissfield has got to start it. They aren't going to listen to an individual like me or her. They're going to listen to somebody like her or you.
It isn't just behind our house. It starts up at Sue Waggles. The water pump thing is, and it goes downstream, and then our neighbors next to us.
Well, the log jams obviously go a lot upstream.
And they're flowing right downstream.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, if you've got an idea, let me know, because right now I'm at standstill.
Thank you for the update. We'll sounds like that's on Danielle's radar to make contact with Steve May. See if we can clarify if there's any grant opportunities. Appreciate the patience. I know it takes a long time to work through bureaucracy, but we appreciate it. Thank you for the update as well.
I'll give you the minutes of that meeting.
Okay.
I'd like to say one thing to the gentleman who talked about the speeding. I live at 426 North Monroe. The police a lot of times set out at the Baptist church. They can go 100 miles an hour past there and they aren't going to hurt anything. But south of the church on North Monroe Street and South Monroe, there's where somebody's going to get killed. These people drive way too fast. Times this gentleman talked about. I'm retired. I'm out in my front yard working, and you wouldn't believe the speed that goes by me, especially early in the morning or when work is over at 4 or 5 o'clock. And the only thing I can say, start writing tickets. And when Blissfield gets an attitude they can't speed this town, when people do, we're a speed trap, that'll help. Now, rumors I've heard is the business people don't want this because it would drive business away from the downtown. I heard that 10 years ago. But the question is, how many tickets do they write in a month? That tell them, where did they write about? That would be the thing. I was a truck driver all my life. I know what the truck driving rules are, and the state probably lets them legally run a jake brake in this town, and they don't make them run in the right lane. They should. But there's a lady in charge of that in Jackson. I've talked to her on the phone before. If I drove like that, I'd have been fired years ago. Ohio's a different ballgame. Driving the center lane on the turnpike with a semi or impeding the flow of traffic, you get a ticket for it. That doesn't happen anymore. It's not only Blissfield, it's all over. Truck drivers are terrible. I'm done.
Thanks, Ed. All right. Any other public comment?
Can I do one more real quick?
Real quick.
I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for helping us have such a wonderful 200th birthday party. I think it all went well. It didn't look super busy, but we were spread out all over town thanks to Laura and her, we just did, and everybody pitched in. I was so proud of that weekend and the time before, even the River Race Miss Bliss and all of that. So I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for helping us have a wonderful birthday party. Thank you.
Yeah, we should extend a big thanks to you and everything you do at the Historical Society. I know you're very integral with that bicentennial. So thank you, Ty.
Well, there were a lot of people involved getting everything rolling, and we all worked as a team. It takes a village.
That mustache and beard competition is something else. Okay, any other public comment? All right. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to unfinished business. Council, does anybody have any unfinished business? There was a reason why.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'm finished now. Real quick, the 223 water line project is about complete. Did we budget for the sidewalk repair, like maintenance, or is that something that's gonna be in the added on ticket later? That is part of the project. Okay, perfect.
How far along are they? It seems like they've made a ton of progress. Very quickly.
Yeah. What do you think?
Probably next week.
That's what I was.
Next week?
They're currently.
They'll be into testing and stuff. There might be some here or there, but they're almost not constructing actually. Wow. They make quick work of that. Anything else, Mike?
No.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other unfinished business? Seeing none, I'll move on to the new business. Action item number 1. Danielle, do you want to talk us about this? For fee waiver?
Yes. Mr. Litsky received $282.86 that was added to his tax bill for delinquent utility bill at 343 Cherry Street. This is from 2014, and this is part of the process. Brandon's been going back, working his way back to try to get all of that cleaned up and collected. I know we've talked about this at council a few different times with some accounts that we were unable to get contact with people and different reasons, but he's requesting that that be waived and removed from his tax bill. If you have questions for Brandon, I let it sound.
It took him 10 years to figure out that there was a bill. That's my question. The way I read it, it sounds like he didn't even know the renter moved out. That's when I read it. That's what is that how you understand it?
I do believe he knew the renter moved out. My understanding is that he was not notified of the past due balance. My understanding.
How would that have gotten missed 10 years? I don't understand that.
Well, I don't believe it was missed. Okay. I believe that I can't speak to what was happening before, but I don't know that we weren't putting it on taxes. We weren't trying to collect it. It was just kind of sitting out there. I don't know. I'm not saying they did nothing. I just don't know to what extent they were doing that. So Brandon has been going back, sending notices, getting it on taxes when he can, trying to collect that to clean those the delinquent past due bills.
I'd like to have a little discussion, if it would be okay with you guys, regarding I know I sent that note, the email to Danielle. I'm looking for that right now, and it was regarding. Here it is. Okay. Danielle responded that he's working backwards. So Brandon has been working backwards to get these the overdue accounts. One of the things I wondered about is, should we have a discussion regarding some of the dates / years of these accounts, and take a look at them, because kind of what you're alluding to, Tim, is that we're talking some of these outstanding bills are over 10 years old, and I'm not blaming anyone. That's not what I'm saying. However, I don't know how, if we're getting our bang for our buck, we're going back that amount of time with Brandon doing the research for it, and how else these bills could be addressed. If I'm understanding, and I believe I am understanding correctly, so when we look at the email Danielle had sent this afternoon regarding the grand total of delinquent inactive accounts, we can see the $34,000. That's where we are as of today. We can look back on her paperwork there and stating 5 years ago, we'd have that amount of $26,000. And prior to that, you know, there's the $21,000, et cetera, et cetera. But when we look at that below, there's the landlord affidavits total. And of that total of the landlord affidavit, there is the total of approximately $20,000 from Coachlight Estates. That's part of that 34,000 total out there. So I think as we take a look at everything, you guys, and we look at the 5-year number that she has listed for us on the spreadsheet, I think we should perhaps visit that and say, hey, where are we getting our bang for our buck? We don't know. Our assumption is that all of those accounts were sent a note, but we are, by the time we do the work to find out what was sent, sending the note, etc. I'm just wondering if we should, as I've said already, revisit that amount. I'm certainly not into writing things off by any means. However, I think as we understand as a group that the landlord affidavit, we don't have that. I mean, that's pretty much, we're not going to get that money essentially. Danielle, is that correct? Without going to
we would have to find the renters,
right,
and be able to get payment from them.
And is that our best use of our treasurer's time with these amount of years going back? That's what I'm trying to ask. I don't know if I asked it like you're correcting, but that's not.
No, you're right, and I just want to ask, or just state, why did this not come up in audit? This is just bad debt. And business would just write this audit of collectible bad debt. They'd have a reserve amount against another balance sheet account that would be offset against. We probably don't have anything like that, do we? So, but I'm with you, Glenn. This is sort of it's a good cause, but is it the best use of our time? Are we really going to collect? There was a small portion we did collect early on in this project, and I think that's probably going to be exhausted.
Probably more recent years would make more sense, but the time after that, after the 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015.
If Mr. Litsky had been notified a month or two after, he might have been able to go back to his renter at this point.
And he may have been notified, but he doesn't recall. It's been that many years.
I think that is a good discussion. I don't know about tonight.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if, for Larry's concern, I don't want to say to table it, but would that be all part of everything to discuss at one time versus saying yes to his? And the reason I say that is I'm concerned if we again, I've said this before, learn from our mistakes, that if we go ahead and we let one person excuse, then that opens the can. But however, if we were to make that decision about a group for about a number of years, then that would incorporate that amount. And then I think maybe another part of the discussion could be, should our treasurer be using that amount of time, or should we be looking at a, Danielle, what did you call that? The debt collection?
Sending it to a collection center.
Is that something we should consider? And that again is probably for another time, but it's something that I think needs to be discussed. Danielle, you want to address anything on that? Just from what we had.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about what the options are if you guys want to address this further. The only comment that I would have is this is on Larry's tax bill now, which is due September 16.
That's right.
So pushing it right now, if you guys were to decided to waive this, we could notify the county to have that portion removed. Otherwise, he'll either be passed due on his tax, which obviously there's penalties to that, but it's like just keep that in mind. Whatever you guys decide.
What's our October meeting of the whole look like?
October, I do not have anything for October.
Our September is
water, sewer fees.
That's right. Okay.
And then we schedule it for the October meeting of the whole council agree? All right, let's do that. Is there a motion regarding the Blissfield tonight?
Well,
my perspective is work right. I saw 282. It doesn't make it a break.
It doesn't make it a break, but it's I was kind of hoping we could make a little bit of a decision. Is that part of the 282, Danielle, would that go back to 2015? If we were to even say that amount of 1,192.53, would that take care of Mr. Lipsky's amount? His amount being part of that?
Part of the 2014.
No, part of the, if you just take a look at the 1,192.53.
2015.
2015, I'm sorry, thank you. That's a fair way to say it.
I didn't pull that worksheet. I don't want to tell you wrong.
That's all right.
So it would be included every year because it's a rolling total. So that would have been delinquent in. It probably it was due in November of 14, so probably 15, and then it's included all the way. So your very current one that's 34 or something.
Right.
I apologize. That includes it as well.
But if we were to go ahead as this evening and waive the fees to 2015, that would include that and anyone else that would ask that question. Does that make sense, James?
It does. I don't know if it's being asked of us tonight to waive fees all the way back to 2015.
But we could do that, no?
I know, but then we set a precedent that you can just wait 10 years.
But we know that we had that discussion must be
yeah. I'd rather after that discussion we can absolutely make a decision that night and take it to the next council meeting.
I'll make a motion to waive the delinquent water bill for 343 Cherry Street for $282.86.
I'll support that.
So with any other discussion, knowing that we are going to have this on a meeting of the whole agenda in October.
Yes, why would we not do the 2015 this afternoon? What part of that am I not understanding? Knowing that we're going to be discussing that later.
You're saying just 2015 one?
I'm saying the 1,192.53, that number. So that would be the 2015 number. That's all I'm saying is
that'd be everything prior to 2015.
Correct.
Yes.
That mean Mr. Hudson would not go further in investigating or trying to see back the additional years as
for 2015, 14, or 13. Yes, because we can see in 14 and 13 is just that 83.18 amount that goes into the 1192 amount. So essentially, Mr. Hudson Brandon would not go into the 2015 amount for the approximately, $1,100.
We don't.
Yeah. So if you guys want to just say 6 more at the next council meeting, I have time between that council meeting. If you make a decision that night to notify the county. No.
Say it again, Brandon.
If you guys want to think more on this, you bring it to the next council meeting. I have time to notify the county from that council meeting to the due date of the taxes. I really have time.
So you could put this on the agenda for September 9th and he will still have time to notify the county. That would be the very final.
If you guys want to think about it.
That would be that.
Any portion. So we could bring the remaining portion from 2015 over.
Yes.
On the 9th.
And that way we cover for Mr. Liz.
Because I don't know if there's other people who have been sent to taxes as part of that.
Okay.
Total amount.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that. Thank you, Brandon, for the suggestion.
Can we find out if there's anybody else that's been sent to taxes?
We would include that with the information if you want us to bring it back on September 9th.
Thank you, Jane. So I would do things.
Okay.
Indulging.
All right. So it sounds like we have a future meeting agenda item. We do have a motion on the floor. Right? Tim, who is this? Eric.
Well, we are going to discuss the 1192 on a September meeting.
Correct. I will bring the 1192 to the September 9th meeting. And then I will still have an October committee of the whole meeting to discuss delinquent and past dues, timeframe collections, how we want to handle that moving forward. Or I guess back.
So would we be allowed to undo that motion because of the September meeting discussion? Oh,
I would have to take a vote.
okay.
Yeah, I would think we'd have to take it out.
Yes. But the motion can't use that.
No, you already have a first and a second, so the only way a motion would die is if there was no second.
Okay.
So, is everyone clear? Any other discussion? She said no. Lisa.
Bill,
I'll make sure I understand this. So, the motion on the table right now is to waive Mr. Litsky's $212.
Correct.
If we vote yes, he gets it waived from his bill, but we still talk about the remaining balance of the 1192 on the next meeting.
Correct.
Then I say yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Gwen,
No, I say that no with the reservation because we were going to be discussing this situation of 1192.53 that includes Mr. Litsky's portion on the September meeting, 9th meeting.
Eric,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
James,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Gwen. I think this is going to help this project forward. So.
Well, I think we'll have a project report. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Second action item. The resolution adopting the fiscal year 24-25 comprehensive fee schedule. On the proposed fee schedule, 3% across the board, and some other one-off adjustments.
Talk about something.
Do you want, I was just gonna give just maybe a quick summary of why they're being proposed, if we feel that would be helpful or. Okay, I would. So recycling hauler license is an increase of $20. It's an annual fee. That fee's not been adjusted as far as I can tell, ever. So we're just proposing to adjust for inflation and processing on our end. Non-resident shelter fees, we would like to increase those just to have a little bit of a larger gap between residents who are paying taxes and have to have access and give them priority over reservations. And then we did add to clarify, churches currently get shelters at no cost. We would like to clarify that it's Village of Blissfield churches that get that fee waived. Water and sewer rates, it's 3% across the board, as James said. Utility account renter deposit increase. I know I included this in the email earlier, but that fee's gone up $10. Again, I'm as far back as I can tell. So we would like to adjust that based on where our fees are at currently to make sure that we aren't having delinquent accounts that aren't getting paid and help with that. Bulk water is being proposed to increase to match that 3% with the utility rates. And then land division application is currently $65. With this application, we are required to send out notices, which is mailings, and then we publish in the advance. So we are not actually covering our costs right now with that. In addition to that, we're not covering the cost for the staff report and the planning commission meeting and the things. So we would like to move that up to align it with other applications that are that have similar processes and similar requirements, because we feel it costs about the same the process goes. Additions, I have parking tickets listed as an addition. It's not actually a new fee. However, it was listed under the police department previously. We've just added the addendum with the parking fees structure because it changes based on if they pay day one, within 30 days. So instead of trying to retype all of that and mess something up, it's just now an addendum to make it a little bit easier for people to see. We are asking to add a non-resident weapon background check, and Chief can probably tell you better than I can about this, but because there were some law changes. So we do background checks whenever somebody purchases a weapon. We do those at no cost for residents as a service, but we are getting a lot of people who are not residents. It does take a pretty good amount of time. So I worked with Chief and we looked at what is the time frame it's taking to process that background check, and we would like to charge that. So we're not trying to make a ton of money. We just want to cover our expenses. We're good providing it with our residents. Again, they're paying property taxes and contribute, but those non-residents are not. So we want to make sure we're recouping our costs somewhere. And then we had earlier in the year amended our code violations, and we added those penalties. So we would like to remove the code violation penalties because they conflict with those municipal civil infraction penalties, which is now what we're using. But if you guys have any questions about the fees, please let myself, Brandon, Chief, any of us know.
Chief, when we say non-resident weapon background check, we're talking people in the township or outside of the town.
Anyone who's not a resident of the village. Changing the law, the state has put the onus now on local law enforcement to do background checks and enter these weapons into the computer systems. And they also, it used to be that you had to go to the law enforcement agency that had jurisdiction where you lived, and they eliminated that. So now we have an influx of residents from the area, might be Riga, Palmyra, and the townships around us. In addition to that, the gun stores are sending the forms to the state when they have a purchase, like I say, Cabela's and Dundee. If it's a Blissfield resident, the state is forwarding them back to us to have them entered into the system instead of doing it themselves. So, yeah, I could go on all night about that, but you know, to Mr. Emerson's complaints, and they're valid, this is just one of the many things the state is doing to put the caseload, their workload, back on the local agencies. And it does take time. When we do a background check, it can be 20 minutes, it can be 2 hours, depending what we're having to come up against.
But they're all residents of Michigan that are coming.
Yes, but typically it takes about an hour. Typical.
Thank you. The resident large shelter entries, that's double. Is that right? Or is that just a typo?
Yeah, that is. So currently large and small shelters are the same fee.
I had a question regarding the aquatic center, you guys, and Jackie, this actually came from a conversation that you had earlier regarding the non-resident versus the resident fees for the pool. As residents, we do pay our taxes for the pool. The non-residents do not, and just even the seasonal rates. I know that they're more obviously for a non-resident, but I was just curious if perhaps we could. And Danielle, you would know more about the costs and how many residents / non-residents. Perhaps I didn't ask that question of you earlier, but for example, as I'm looking at the aquatic center here for the seasonal rates for the individual resident, it's $60, the non-resident being 90. Yeah, it's higher, but maybe it should be $100. I'm just throwing that out there. The couple, $100 for the resident, $130 for the non-resident. How about $150? Family residents, same household, residents, $150, non-residents, $180. How about $200? But is that appropriate? Is that gonna will people not attend because of $20 extra as a non-resident for the family? You would have a better feel for that than I would.
I don't know. Yeah, I really don't. I think so. I would say a majority of our non-resident visitors purchase day passes. Now that means we do have memberships, and I have no way to, when somebody purchases a day pass, I can run a report actually, but it's just going to tell me how many times we rang up a non-resident. It's not, I mean, that could be the same person 20 times. So I don't have exact number, but I can provide that to you guys. But I'm not sure if they would or not. I will share that that's been brought up it was brought up by a resident this year. This summer, I would say, since I've been with the village, we've had far more non-residents than we have in the past. And I think partially word is getting out. When people come visit the pool, they are always saying like, oh, I have such and such a local pool by me, but yours is cleaner, it's nicer, the atmosphere, we like the atmosphere better. So they're starting to come more, but not to the point that they're purchasing the season pass yet. But I mean, whatever you guys feel would be appropriate there, we could implement that and
just something I got for discussion.
Our day rates are fairly in line with other pools in the area.
Yeah, I don't know how much we win.
Okay.
By doing that.
Again, Jackie talked about a little bit, and it was something I heard her say when we saw the police schedule. It doesn't seem that it increased from last year.
It is not.
So from 24 to 25,000.
And I guess I'll add just FYI, we set a record-breaking revenue year at the pool this year. We're current, and if the season we have a week and this weekend, but we're over 47,000 in revenues. So people are coming. We're selling. We sold more memberships than we have ever.
Oh, okay.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion to approve the proposed fee schedule?
Move to approve the resolution adopting history of 2024-2025 comprehensive fee schedule as presented to the effective on October 2024.
I'll support that.
You, Bill, and Eric. Any other discussion, comment? Lisa?
Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
James.
Yes, thank you. Lastly, the board to identify the this is pretty new for us. It looks like we're gonna have a fully funded grant to take care of the project. Any questions or comments on this?
And Aaron is here too, if you guys have questions about E or I.
This I have a question. The grant was to do every single water hookup in the village, correct?
It's the remaining unknown services because we've identified a significant portion of our already.
Only residential, not commercial, because the way that the proposal reads, it just says residential, it's technically correct.
Yeah, like unknown services. Anything that is unknown. You want to just pop up and give us like a high level overview of what's transpired today, and what our plan is going forward. Yep, Aaron Hacker, Maxton, everybody.
So the bid was for all unknown water services. So the state has, by October 16th, we need to have a determination of what services are let and which are not. And so this would take care of, if you remember the last time I was here, I believe there was like 85, I think we were going to use to have a statistical determination. And we got this grant, so this takes care of the rest that we did not include in that. It's the same contractor that is doing Adrian's, City of Adrian's. So I think the goal for them would be to knock Adrian out, come here and knock this out. It should work well for them. The bid came back very competitive. I had no issues. There was no, nothing jumped out. It's similar to the Adrian bid. There was less bidders, but I assume people are getting busy and winning some, so they don't bid as much.
I think Adrian might have had 7. I think Dundee probably had 9. We had 4. So that was pretty consistent. It was significantly, 30% lower than the engineer's estimate, which I was very happy with because I don't ever want to be the lowest. So that made me very happy. And it should make you guys happy. So that's why with the normal 10%, but because like Mike's saying, some commercial might have sidewalk areas, that what the 20% should do is if the estimated quantities of where the services are located for the restoration are different, or there's an overwhelming amount of sidewalk, you have the choice of not doing it and assuming that it's lead, or assuming based on the other area that it would be, or you pay for the sidewalk, and if you go over in that quantity, eventually you can go over based on what's in the bid. So the 20% just allows you to hit more of those if you like. In general, Brent will be working with our CEI's construction engineering inspection services to make sure that we hit all the ones that we want, make sure they're repairing it the way they need to repair it. And in talking with NIM, they said that they want 2 to 3 crews, 75, 60 to 80 a day they could do. So we should be very busy, but we'll make sure that they repair everything, and that we've actually sent out one of our, I should say that we sent out one of our interns to try to catalog the addresses. There's quite a few. Some of them are hard to find. We couldn't really find the service, so we're kind of assuming it's grass, and then Brett can go out there with his crew and actually find it for NIM when the time comes. But for the most part, if we couldn't find it, we kind of assumed it wouldn't be sidewalk. So, but yeah, I can answer any other questions. It's a good deal. I will say that October 16th, you guys probably noticed in there some of the dates. I did talk to the state. They said you can always update whatever we need to update. So if we don't get it all done in time, the grant continues, the money continues to get the project done. And then you just update the state after with the findings when you get them. So we would just submit twice, essentially. It's not really a huge deal or anything. So,
great.
Yep.
Any questions for Aaron?
Because we've done a lot of new construction projects, so they're known by documenting, or the DPW guys were out there on the project, they know. Right, you got this kind of ad hoc here and there, just random from some of these street projects that have been done, as well as the Gasner. I know we did that one along with White and whatever the next street is.
Russell.
We did Russell, it was White and Gasner. That was a major construction project 25 years ago. So we're not sure if Gasner has all new services. Is that because it's one side of the line, maybe they didn't do the resident side, right? The street side.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. So they also were somewhat strict where I don't believe, verbal accounts or memory accounts of over a certain age were like allowed. Essentially, you have to have like a paper trail to say to finally rule it out. You're allowed to make like a guesstimate or best guess based on other things around it, but without actual paper trail, you don't need to verify.
We're looking for lead and galvanized.
Correct. Because galvanized could have previously been connected to lead. There's no way to know. So.
And at the end of this, we'll be able to quote bill the state or whatever for that grant for however many we need to do or not do.
Yeah, the grant was for 483. So we should be well under that, I would think. Even with the 20%, we should be well under that.
And after this project, we should 95% hopefully know every resident or business in town can have.
Yeah.
So the next step to replace or whatever.
Yeah, so the next step is an asset management plan. Daniel talked about, and I talked about with they have to be put on a replacement plan in the next 20 years. They have to be notified they have lead, and then they get put on the replacement plan. So that would be something that we would be looking at. Essentially, once you know how much you have, how roughly the cost to project out 10 years. I don't want to get too much into these, but you come up with a plan like, oh, you got to spend $250,000 a year for 20 years to get them all replaced, something like that. Or get them all replaced at once, go after a big SRF loan, that grant if money comes out for it and stuff like that. So you have a plan in place and you're ready to roll if some funding comes up.
That's the bad news. Good news first.
And you guys have tentatively, if it's approved in the budget, appropriated $207,000 to start replacement next year.
as well to start making progress on this, because we know we have the next 16 years, and we already know we have lead lines in our community.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions for Aaron or Danielle? Appreciate your time. Thank you for coming out tonight. Sure. Always a pleasure. Is there a motion here?
Move to award the lead service line identification project to National Industrial Maintenance Incorporated in the amount of $309,621. I'll support that.
Do you have any other questions or comments? Lisa, if you will.
Tim,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
James.
You, that's Lisa. Report. Any questions on the reports?
Thanks, Gary.
Anybody can want to take their public works? Not open up to council discussion. Any items council would like to discuss?
You know, as far as the overgrowth of grass and sidewalks.
Yeah.
That's up to our residents to do that. We can't do anything about it.
I made a note to myself to look at the ordinance, because I do think it says that it needs to be free and clear. I don't know if it's going to be clear enough. I'm gonna have to look at that. But like I said, I did make that note. And then the other challenge will just be going out and citing people. I imagine we could probably walk a block and find numerous, but I will review that and let you guys know.
Yeah, well, council discussion.
Yeah, so one, the countdown, much like a lot of the residents here talked tonight about safety. The countdown's at 2:23 in late, and so it starts not working appropriately or correctly. So we get them to take a look at them.
What's on
The crosswalk countdowns, which is why we asked them to do that, but you know, used to just flash and not give a countdown, but the numbers aren't working currently.
That's coming down to this thing.
Anything else? No. Eric, Jerry? Anything this way? All right. I will open up public comment a second time. Items on the agenda, items not on the agenda.
You get one of those, I've seen in other towns, it's a thing that tells the speed as you're driving past it. I know they're expensive.
That's what I was alluding to, and nobody wanted to talk about it.
Mary Lou, we've had that discussion with Chief, and it's actually, I think Chief's discussed it as no money in the budget.
Two of the budget.
We can't put them on 223 though without that permission.
Yeah.
So what
we'll have to
about
talk
north
to
and
them.
south?
We can absolutely put them in our community.
Can we afford to do that?
They are in the current budget to purchase two.
Okay.
The upcoming, I should say upcoming, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That
So
would be a
October.
step forward.
After October 1st.
That as well as a cadet. Police cadet. That is in place. So we do have some things that are going to be occurring.
Okay, that's good.
And to answer your question, Ernie, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, those signs that we are looking at purchasing are a portable sign that can be moved from
Yep.
location to
Yes.
location.
Yeah, I've seen that because I know in other small towns. That's a good thing.
So it could be North Lane one day, it could be South Lane another day, it could be.
And that's only on South End now. Now the race fair is starting.
Any other public comment? Being none. And the committee of the whole agenda preview. We discussed October's committee of the whole. If nothing else, council, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 8:19 p.m.
Okay. Tim, support. Lisa last time.
Eric,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bill, Tim,
Yes.
James.
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Look back, September 9th. Thank you, everyone.